it's getting pretty exciting because you're finally getting up to the bit where you actually get to do stuff instead of just writing stuff. So we thought it might be a good idea to just go through the preliminary task and explain what exactly it is that you're doing and maybe give you an idea of why, because as you know by now, I'm a why person. So let's have a look at what is required. So what does the task want you to do? Look, there are two parts to the preliminary task. There's a couple of bits of paperwork, forms that you need to complete before you do the hands-on practical assessment. And then, of course, you have your hands-on practical assessment. So when you click on the link on the platform, it'll actually tell you part 1, part 2. So for part 1, there's quite a bit of paperwork to do. So before the hands-on practical assessment for part 1, you need to look at the care plans and the medication care plans supplied for the 10 clients, and they're sitting there. You can access those on the assessment page via a link. With those care plans and the medication care plans, you need to read the information in there and then complete the following forms. So you need to complete the medications equipment checklist. You need to complete a risk assessment, and you also need to complete minutes from a meeting. Now, with the meeting minutes, you actually have a meeting with your assessor in the hands-on practical, and you will be expected to tell the assessor who's playing the role of the medications delegator any concerns that you have about any of those medications and you administering them. And also any issues that you notice in the client's care plan that might interfere with those medications, but also any issues with you actually giving the medications. Confirm with the health professional what the medication is, so make sure you've got the right one and that you understand what route it's being given by. So a little bit of paperwork first. Let's have a look at each one. For the equipment checklist, so for each of the 10 clients, you need to complete a set of tables. They're all in the same checklist. So as you scroll through the medications equipment checklist, you'll see client 1, client 2, client 3, client 4. All the care plans and the medications plans are numbered the same way. So if it's care plan 1, medications plan 1, they're all talking about client 1. The ones with a 2 on are all talking about client 2. It just makes it easier to figure out what goes with what. There are instructions on the equipment checklist for what you need to write in each table, and you need to complete all the tables in the document. If you leave the tables blank, it will come back to you oh so quickly to get you to fill in the rest. So there shouldn't be any blank tables. You might not fill a complete table with the information you have, but there'll be at least something that you're writing in each one of those tables. What it essentially wants you to do is look at the medication and the route for each client, figure out what equipment you're going to need in order to give that medication the right way, and then have a look at completing the rest of the tables in the document. So it'll ask you about the medications itself. It'll ask you questions about that medication. If you don't already know, please, there is a thing in the resources section of the unit, but you can Google it as well. It's called N for Nelly, P for Peter, NPS for Sam. So NPS Medicine Wise, Medicine Finder. And what that allows you to do is to look up every single medication that's available in Australia and have a look at what schedule it is, what the side effects are, what the goals of the treatment are, signs that something might not be sitting well with the client when they take it. All those sorts of things are actually on that site. So it's a really good way of doing it. So please, when you're doing the equipment checklist, make sure you complete all the sections. Okay, there should be at least one thing in all the sessions. With risk assessment form, for each of the 10 clients, you need to look at their care plans and their medication plans. Then you need to complete the tables in that document. What you're doing is you're looking at the person themselves, the information you have about them, the information you have now learned about their medication and the route that it is delivered by. Then you're going to look at any risks associated with that individual. So you need to look at their care plans and their medication plans and then complete the document. If you get to a table that's asking you for something and you find it doesn't exist for that client, please don't leave the table blank, because blank looks to people like, I missed that one or I forgot to do that one. In care work, in any kind of care work, if you get to something that doesn't apply to the patient, please, or the client, please don't write NA, because I am so over the abbreviation NA. Most of the time it is applicable. You just haven't done it. What we prefer instead is that you write nil. So what you're saying when you write nil is, I've read what this table requires and there are not any of those things for this particular client. So it is applicable. Everything on a form is applicable. It's just whether it relates to the client or not. And if it doesn't, then the answer is nil. Please, as I say, don't leave any of the tables blank. So, for example, if it's asking you about a medications clash and you can't find a medications clash for that particular client, then you would write nil, meaning there are no identifiable medication clashes. If you write NA, it's not that it doesn't apply. We need to look for medication clashes for all clients. So the question applies. It's just that there are nil. So that's why we go for nil instead. With the meeting minutes form, don't panic. Yes, you do need to do a meeting's minutes. During the assessment, so during the practical bit, you will meet with your assessor, me, who will play the role of the delegating health professional. So what you need to do in the meeting is confirm the medications and route for each of the 10 clients. You need to identify any issues with you giving those medications, and you need to take minutes of that meeting. Okay, so essentially, in order to do that, before the meeting, you're going to be filling out the meeting form. You're going to write on the template, so on the meetings minutes template, you're going to write what it is that you want to discuss with the health professional, and also any issues that you might have with giving the client the medications, any that you foresee, and then we will discuss those in the meeting. So when you open those meeting minutes form, you'll see there's agenda items, and that's where you can put each of those things. So you want to discuss client 1, you can use that client's name if you like. Might be an idea. You want to discuss client 1 through 10. You want to confirm the medications for each one. You want to confirm the route for each one. And as I say, if you notice any issues that you might have giving those medications, then you would put that on the agenda as well. So it might be issues providing medications for Bob, for example, Bob Smith or whatever the client's name is, so that can then get explained to the delegating health professional and we can work out a plan of what we're going to do for that particular situation. So it seems like a lot. It probably is, but you have done so much work so far that this really isn't going to be an issue for you. If you get stuck, if you're not sure, if you think the table's dumb and you're frustrated, flick me an email, let me know. More than happy to listen to that and more than happy to try and help you through the issue so that we can get it done. Okay, you're almost there. It is so close now. You should be able to smell it. So the hands-on practical assessment is the second part of the preliminary task. You need to administer or assist to administer The medications charted for those 10 clients. You do have access to their medication plans and their care plans. You need to be sure that you consult the plans before giving any medications. You also need to look up each medication and know at least 2 side effects for each medication that you might warn the client about before you give the medication. And you need to make sure you know how to use each piece of equipment. All of those medication charts are now on the system and you can access them. You can also access the checklists, the observation checklists, or OBS checklists, I think we've called them. You can see on those what it is I'm looking for when you're giving the medication. So when you're actually doing your hands-on practical assessment, there's a checklist for each one of those clients. So each kind of medication, each route, that I'm going to be using to tick off whether you're actually doing things the right way or not. So it's a really good idea for you to sit and go through each of those and just get an idea of what I'm looking for. Please, by now, I hope you've realised I'm not a nasty RN. I'm actually one of the RNs that really wants to help people to learn more and get better. Get better at what you do and better at how you do it. So if there is an issue at all, I will ask you questions during the assessment to try and get you to realise what it is that you actually need to do. Okay, so please try not to be nervous. I'm not nasty. The whole idea is that by the end of the process, you actually feel more confident in your skills, and I feel confident that you've got the skills that you need and the knowledge that you need. So if you're still confused, if you've watched the video a few times and you think, I have no idea what this woman's talking about, flick me an email. That's why I'm here, because I can easily answer things. And honestly, guys, it's preferable to marking the same thing wrong across 25 assessments. So if you're not sure, somebody sum up the courage, flick me an email and ask me a question. I'm happy to solve it. It saves an awful lot of work for you, because you don't have to redo the assessment if you've got something wrong. Saves an awful lot of time for me because I don't have to mark every assessment 3 times. So hang in there. It's almost over. Knuckle down, get focused, get this last assessment task done. After this, all you have is your workplace assessment, where I actually come to you and we do them in the workplace. So have a look at the assessment task, pull it apart, have a look at all the forms. If there's something you're not sure of, something you don't understand, sing out. That's why I'm here. Keep up the good work, guys, and hopefully I'll get to see you soon on a one-to-one. So thanks a lot. Bye.